Hi, I'm recording this because I got a lot of questions regarding Azerbaijan.
So my trip was 6 days, and I did not really find much material of people visiting from India and what places they're visiting. I read a few blogs and some documentary videos also I had to watch to get an idea of which places I should be visiting. Here, I was also trying to come up with an itinerary based on what Google Earth was showing, but I will cancel out some of the places that would not apply because of their geopolitical problems. First of all, there's this region, Nakhchivan, which you can see it's actually beyond the border, which is actually a territory inside Armenia. So I was not really willing to take that chance at that moment. And the second region that I would have to skip, and it's advisable for any tourist not to go into this zone. That's the Nagorno Karabakh region, which is somewhere around this place. I think somewhere around this place where Azerbaijan and Armenia have been fighting for a long time. It's been more than 30 years since they both became independent countries outside the Soviet Union, and since then they have been fighting over this zone. The recent update is in 2020. This zone that was within Armenia's control for around 30 years, which was also controversial. Azerbaijan troops actually reclaimed this zone, and now it's still a no-go zone for me, and that's why it's advisable for Indian tourists as well to stick to the tourist friendly spots which are a gold mine waiting to be explored. Let me zoom in on the map a little bit. So, day one, here's Baku. So, on day one, I reached Baku in the morning after a 4.5 hour flight. 7 a.m., we reached Baku airport. It takes around 30 minutes from Baku airport to reach the central area. Since this trip was entirely planned by myself, I was still trying to figure out how the next 5.5 days will be. So I went straight to the tourist information center at Nizami Street, and got a little couple of pamphlets from them. I wanted to see how I can cover maximum number of places in 6 days. So yeah, I had a list of names with me. Other than Baku, there was Sumgait, which is I think an industrial town, and it's heavily polluted because of all the petroleum gas extraction activities. And there's not much for tourists here, so you can safely skip Sumgait. Another place that was I was really curious about, it's named Ganja. It's I think one of the largest cities, second largest or third largest after Baku, Sumgait. It's Ganja. It's almost to the western extreme end of Azerbaijan, and it has very good connectivity with Baku. Mhm. There are trains and buses running between Baku and Ganja. I was almost planning to visit Ganja just to experience the cross country travel and see what differences exist between the western part and the eastern part of the country. But again, Ganja is not quite a tourist uh, attraction, if I may say. So for me, I chose to skip Ganja as well, because trust me, 6 days, even 6 days are not going to be enough for the remaining places which have so much in store. So day one. In the afternoon, we just walked around Nizami Street and went to the boulevard, Baku Boulevard, which is a nice place right on Caspian Sea. So I think it's somewhere around here. So on day one, in the evening, we just had a relaxing stroll by the Caspian Sea, and Day two onwards, we had a really hectic schedule, but since it's a small country, to put things in perspective, area of entire Azerbaijan is smaller than states like West Bengal, Bihar in India. So effectively, what I am trying to say is, even if I am based out of Baku for the whole week, almost all the places, all the cities that I want to visit, I can easily reach and come back late night if I want. If I don't want to stay overnight at a remote place. Initially, I had thought that I might have to check out of my Baku hotel and stay if I am planning to visit places like Gabala or Sheki, then I would have to check out of my Baku hotel and take my luggage there and stay in one of the hotels in these places. But next, what I learned was it's really not required. I'll tell you why. My second day was one of the most exciting days of the whole tours because one of the biggest reasons that I chose to visit Azerbaijan was because of its natural marvels. On the second day, we had Gobustan Absheron tour planned. This place right here, it's like a rock garden with inscriptions going back ages. Gobustan National Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Gobustan is famous for a couple of things. One is this rock garden, and the other is mud volcano. Azerbaijan has the highest number of mud volcanoes in the world, and it's here in this place where around 300 to 400 mud volcanoes are concentrated. So yeah, on the very second day, after covering mud volcanoes and the Gobustan rock garden, we got to witness one of the most mind-blowing natural phenomena in the world, which is the burning mountain or Shahdag. Because of the abundance of natural gas underneath the Earth's surface, this place has had this fire. This fire has been burning here for thousands of years. It's too difficult to believe unless you witness it with your own eyes. After Yanatag Burning Mountain was Atishka, which is the fire temple of Baku. This temple again was a revelation in itself because it was actually built after traders traveling during the days of Silk Road. They discovered this natural gas vent which ignited flames, and this is actually a Hindu, Sikh, and Zoroastrian temple. So Atishka, Atish, again, there's so much similarity with our language itself. Atish, fire. So it's basically the fire temple, Atishka. So on day two itself, we got to witness these multiple marvels, and I think from this day only, from the second day only, we started feeling that it was definitely a brilliant idea to come to Azerbaijan. So on day three, I was actually looking forward to visiting the most remote village, which is Kinalik. If you see this fine trail from Cuba here, this road, this road actually takes you to a place called Kinalig, which is the most remote village where people are still living like ancient folks and are happy staying far away from civilization without the modern amenities. So this place has had piqued our interest while we were checking out the places to visit, and we asked multiple tour operators if they could take us, but unfortunately because it was towards the end of December and the road there is very steep and gets covered in snow, slippery, it was not recommended and it was pretty risky to go there, so we had to cancel Kinalik as well. Instead, what we did was we went to Guba and Shahdag. Shahdag has one of the most exciting coasters. It's one of the fastest and highest coasters that you can enjoy. On day three, we went from Baku to Guba to Shahdag. This was again a completely different experience because Baku, which is around 30 meters under sea level, from there we are going to around 3 or 4 hours. We are reaching a place which is like 2000 meters above sea level, and it is covered in snow. In fact, by the time we reached, there was so much snow that people had started skiing as well. So Shadag Mountain Resort around here has a very famous skiing zone. Other than the ski slope, people also go there for the coaster, for the roller coaster ride, which is again another epic adventure that I had during my visit there. I think during summer months, during the rest of the year, the coaster would be a little different because you'll not be surrounded by snow, and the view will be, I think, a little more green, but the speed and the thrill of coming down the mountain on a fast coaster where you are the only one sitting, I think that's exciting enough for any adrenaline junkie. Other than Shata coaster and that skiing place, we visited couple of more points. Five Finger Mountain. It's not really special, and I would not recommend it if you want to save more time to spend in Shadag if it's a day trip. Candy Cane Mountains. From Baku, when we were going towards Guba and Shahdag, on the way fell Candy Cane Mountains. It's somewhere around here, so yeah, there's somewhere around here, Candy Cane Mountains. This place actually resembles candies because of some groundwater and iron compounds in the earth. The effect that it gives is very unique candy kind of an appearance that it's very unique. You see pink, shades of pink all across the landscape that you can see. Coming to day 4, let me clear this quickly. On day 4, we had planned to visit the most visited place outside Baku in Azerbaijan, Gabala. So, in fact, any tour operator usually has Gabala as the second most visited destination other than Baku in Azerbaijan. So Gabala is also around 4 to 5 hours from Baku, considering that you will also spend some time in Shamaki, where there's a beautiful mosque named Juma Mosque, and there's also a waterfall called Seven Beauties Waterfall, which for Indians would not feel that major because we are used to seeing a lot more bigger waterfalls. But it's still one point where you can spend 20-25 odd minutes on the way. So on day 4 from Baku, we went straight to Shamaka, where we had our first stop at Juma Mosque, and from Juma Mosque, we went to Gabala. We saw that the whole terrain, the views, the climate, everything started to change the closer we got to Gabala. The landscape had suddenly become much more greener and a little bit colder, and you see these snow-capped peaks all around you. It's a different feeling altogether. The convenience of this day trip packages is that they ensure you get to visit the nicest restaurants and have the dishes which are the local delicacies which are most popular from that region. So we were really excited about the Tufandag Mountain Resort, which has a very high and long cable car which gives you the best views of the mountain. And when you get to the top, you also get to view the greater Caucasus mountain ranges. We were lucky enough to catch the sunset from the top as well. Yeah, Tufandag is very popular among tourists. In fact, that's the only place in entire Azerbaijan where for the return cable cars we had to stand in line for around 30 to 40 minutes because it was slowly getting dark. We had to reach before the cable car ticket counter is closed. So we reached there with enough time in hand, and that was because we did not wanted to get dark by the time we reach to Fandag Resort. So somewhere around here, it's to Fandag, and it did not disappoint at all. The whole experience, if I combine with the cable car and the sunset view and the mountain ranges, all of it, then I would say that this is definitely a must visit place. Regarding overnight stay, a couple of people from our group, they got down at Gabala and they said that they would prefer to stay the night there. The last point of day 4 was Nohur Lake. It's a lake surrounded by a forest and it's very beautiful during the day. But because we spent so much time at Tufandag cable car and the top of the mountain, that by the time we reached Nohul Lake, it was dark, and even though others were kind of disappointed, I was okay with it because in India we have seen these kind of lakes, and I was much more excited about Tufanda mountain peak than Nohur Lake. On the way back from Gabala, we faced a lot of traffic outside Baku, on the outskirts of Baku, which is why we reached our hotel as late as around 11 p.m. And after a quick dinner, we had to go to sleep because the next day we had to go all the way from Baku again, covering most of the same route to Sheki. Now, it makes a lot of sense if you are going from Gabala, if you're staying in Gabala overnight, and then the next morning you find a shorter route to Sheki. But because we had already decided to return to Baku every night, we we did not have that option. So it was a little more hectic than the ideal scenario. But the next day, it was not a group tour because from Baku to Sheki during winter, you don't find a lot of package tours. So we had to book our private vehicle with an English speaking guide who drove us all the way from Baku to Sheki. Now we could not take the seemingly shorter route because there was some road repair going on here, and that's why it was almost a 400-kilometer distance that we covered in one morning, and still it did not feel very hectic because this was the most beautiful road trip that I have ever been on. Some glimpses will make it very clear why it was such an enjoyable experience for us. And the highways are mostly very beautiful, smooth, hardly any issues on the roads, very few cars as well. So it did not seem like much of an inconvenience that we were traveling almost 800 kilometers on a single day. At Sheki, the first thing we did was we went to the most beautiful, famous VIP Caravan restaurant, which serves the famous piti of Sheki. I will not go into the details of the food here because if I start, I'll not be able to finish this. After having the delicious meal from Sheki VIP Caravan restaurant, we went straight to the palace of the Sheki Khans. It has colorful glass windows through which the effect is really nice to see inside, and also the intricate carvings and paintings inside. It's all done by hand, which if you observe closely, you'll be able to notice as well. From Sheki Khan Palace, we went to the Karvansarai. It's just like a sarai where traders along the Silk Road they used to come and stay overnight. Now, this Karvansarai we hear is available for overnight stay as well, like a hotel for tourists. Again, we did not feel like there was much value in spending the night there, other than the uniqueness of staying in an 18th century resting place. From here, we went to the Albanian church. which is pretty unique, almost 800 years old, which tells the story of how Albanian people played a significant role in the history of Azerbaijan. We were more interested in utilizing the time to go to the nearby village Kak. We had heard that it's very beautiful and we had seen the photos as well. So what would have happened is if we had gone to Kak from Sheki, it would have taken us around 40-45 minutes more. And we wanted to touch this point and we really insisted, requested our driver to take us there. But since he had to return all the way to Baku again, he did not agree to go. And that's why we had to skip Kak and return to Baku. In fact, it did not even take that long. I think we were back in Baku by 8 p.m. Finally, day 6, the last day when we covered most of the places within the city of Baku. Hopefully, after this video, you will be able to make an informed decision regarding where you want to visit and where you do not. I'll quickly highlight the spot BB Haybat at the bottom, which we covered on the second day itself when we had gone for our Gobustan Abshiran tour. So, the first thing I wanted to say is we were staying somewhere around here. So, you can see it is very close to so many highlights of the city. On the first day itself, we had come to the boulevard and had taken a walk along the Caspian Sea, visited this viewpoint here, and here beside Hilton, you get to see the Formula One pit stops of all the legends like Verstappen, Perez, Lewis Hamilton. Baku has a street circuit, so it's one of the fastest and biggest roads of the city, which otherwise during the Formula One season remain closed to public usage. And because of this, we got to know that the locals are not really happy about Formula One happening there. Coming back to the notable points, this place, Icheri Sheher, which is the old city, this is actually the highlight of Baku because earlier this whole area was actually the entire city of Baku before it started expanding. So we spent quite a lot of time at the Maiden Tower and Shirvanshah Palace as we got to learn a lot about the history of the city and how it expanded, transformed over the years. So after spending around 3 hours here, we went to this Hilton side bus stop because we were told by the Tourist Information Center this is the first stop for the Baku city tour. So it's one of those red colored double decker bus ride all over the city during the peak hours with some heavy Baku city traffic. So we were stuck for a long time in this road due to heavy traffic. This building that you see here, it's one of the highlights of the city. Hyder Aliyev Center, which is one of the most unique buildings in the world. It actually does not have any straight line in its structure. It took a lot of time just to get to Hyder Aliyev Center and come back to the other notable spots of the city. The Flame Tower, it's the most iconic building. The exterior is also covered with LED panels because of which gives the impression of flames. Once the bus had taken us around Flame Towers and had reached the Carpet Museum, we actually got down here because our main highlight was reaching Highland Park before sunset. And the funicular, which is cable car coaster that takes you to Highland Park, it was actually shut. So we actually had to run, climb the few hundreds of stairs to the top of Highland Park. But it was totally worth the effort because the view that we got to catch from Highland Park was the best, and we're never going to forget. Fortunately for us, it was also a full moon night, because of which we also got to see the beauty of Caspian Sea under a full moon. So with this, our Baku city tour and The entire Azerbaijan tour of 6 days had come to an end. From here, we went to Nizami, the fountain square, which was on Christmas Day, beautifully lit and had a lot of people participating in the festivities. And after that, we went to have the signature dish Shah Pulao, which is like the Shahi Pulao, in one of the popular restaurants of Nizami Street. And from there, we headed straight to the hotel to check out and leave for the airport.